Thinking of selling your home and wondering what questions you should ask your agents about how they're going to market your home? Today, you're going to hear about how agents should be marketing your home the right way. Stay tuned. It's Austin Real Estate Insider, where we tackle all the issues that buyers and sellers in the Austin area encounter. Hey, I'm Ryan Rodenbeck with Spyglass Realty, and today we're going to be talking about how agents should be marketing their home. As always, be sure to like this video if you're watching it on Facebook. If you found this information helpful, comment home below to subscribe for future broadcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, and please like and subscribe to our channel. And as always, if you have any topics or questions that you'd like us to cover, please comment on Facebook and YouTube. All right, we're going to bring in Isabel Affinito, who is one of our agents at Spyglass Realty. And today, Isabel, as I said, we're talking about marketing a home. We did a broadcast 2 weeks ago, and Sunny went over how to prepare your home. So this is the second in our series here. And I think the timing of this is really appropriate because we're entering the spring season. So I was at Inman last week, and Inman's a conference for real estate agents, and we already knew the season was, the best time of year to sell is, kind of middle of February, but really March, April, and May. One of the things they said there is that, we start to see a boost right after Super Bowl, and then right after Easter, we're in full-fledged selling season. So today, let's talk about, some of the things that you think that you do when you're selling homes, and, how do you drive demand to a listing when you're marketing a home?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on today, Ryan. I'm excited to do this. So one of the big reasons that I came over to Spyglass is because you guys have really robust systems for marketing listings, and I felt like it would help me step up my game. But there are a few things that I luckily figured out for myself while I was getting started in real estate. So you said you want to talk about what I do to market homes?
Yeah, well, first we're talking about driving demand, right?
Driving demand.
And I think that's something that a lot of agents miss. And guys, if you're watching this and you're about to sell your home, I think what you have to realize is that 90% of the agents do nothing before the home is listed. Now we're talking about prepping, we're talking about marketing, right? Right. So,
yeah, that coming soon marketing is really important. And that's something that I have always tried to do for my clients whenever possible. And I always encourage them to make some room in the schedule for coming soon marketing, because I think that it's easy to overlook how important that exclusivity aspect is to it. I mean, think about how powerful it is of a motivator for buyers for us to be able to say, hey, this isn't on the MLS yet. If you want it, you've got to get ready, because when it hits the MLS, everybody else is going to know about it, right? It creates that idea of scarcity. And you can, this was a term that you used the other day, Ryan, that I thought was a really interesting way to put it. Build up, like, what was the term you used? Like a backlog of interest, or like a bottleneck?
No, a bottleneck.
Yeah, build up a bottleneck of interested buyers so that when you hit the market, it's not like this fizzle. Right? Because if you don't do it right, then when you hit the market, it can kind of be like a fizzly hit the market, which does not get you as a seller the amount of money that you want.
Yeah, and I think, when we're talking about listings, homes, you've got a window, right, of like when you're first listed, and then at 3 months, right? Mm-hmm. And your like, the way I like to put it is your stock is generally the highest on the very first weekend. So if you want to take advantage of that first weekend, you really need to start marketing your home before that first weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And so, just to give you an idea, can I share my screen here, Kelly? Okay, I don't need to press anything. All right, let's just go see here. So let's start with this one. This is a page we do for 78704. And we use these same principles in every single listing, right? So the coming soon process is, we're doing Facebook ads to the listing. For the listing into our site, okay? And then we may be doing Facebook ads for other listings as we retarget those listings. So what we have here is this is a list. This is an ad that shows every list. This is an ad we use to promote listings to our site, okay? We're also doing the Google ad placement for any particular neighborhood that we're in, so that if you type in homes for sale in Travis Heights or Barton Hills homes for sale, that you're going to go to one of our sites. And what we're using is something similar to this, but it's a pop-up on our site. So we're doing that between 5 and 7 days, right? And as we do that, we capture these people in our audience so that we can retarget them. I'm going to go back to my screen. Did you do anything for that? Okay. Yeah. Change that. There we go. So, you know, when we talk about marketing homes and creating a bottleneck, what other instances can you think of to kind of create that demand?
Sure. So you touched on like internet marketing, Google AdWords, putting it on Instagram. Those are all important. The other thing that I think is really important, it's so simple and it gets overlooked way too often. Take professional photos. Like the number of agents who are not using professional photos is crazy to me. Or you'll sometimes see stuff get listed and you're talking about how valuable that first weekend is. Imagine listing the home with no photos or temporary photos and saying like professional photos coming soon. That drives me so crazy. I'm like, the most eyeballs are on this home the first weekend that it hits the market. And if you've got crappy photos on there the first weekend, you've just blown like your biggest opportunity to create multiple offers.
Yeah, and you touched on this before, but you know, when we were doing our pre-call talk about taking kind of crappy photos during the coming soon process. I mean, look, if we have a property that's not ready, and it's not completely ready, we'll get professional photos, and then we'll say, you know, we're going to get other photos for this. So let's say we're trying to finish up the home. We're going to get some professional photos of that home. It may not be ready, but we're only going to pick a few of those photos, right? Maybe 5 or 10, right? I mean, normally when we list a home, we hit about 30. So what we want to do when we're listing a home and we're marketing that home coming soon is do a teaser on it. And I'm going to share my screen again, Kelly. So we're really bullish on Instagram, and we've got like almost 13,000 followers. And this is an example. Let's see if this will work. A home we listed in Barton Hills. It was the highest resale ever sold in Barton Hills, you know, by 200,000, right? And we marketed this using Instagram, and then we also did a promotion on the coming soon basis, right? So if you're looking at, let's see, where is it? If we look at the Instagram, I don't want to go through the Instagram part of it, but what we're doing, back to me, Kelly, is what we're doing in these instances is we're going to try and drive demand from for that listing through Facebook and Instagram, and then we're going to take the listings that were in that neighborhood that we previously sold that were similar or in the same area or whatever, and we're going to retarget to people that looked at that listing. Okay, now that's confusing, so let me back up there. Okay, let's take Barton Hills for instance. Okay, we saw a lot of homes in Barton Hills. We have a listing we sold in September. Okay, we have another listing coming up. In September, we drove about, you know, 6,000 people to that listing. Okay, well, that's like September, the last quarter of the year. Okay, and so there are 4 stages of a listing. There's coming soon, just listed, under contract, and just sold. So instead of putting your regular fields of like address, square footage, beds, bath, we put all that, but it's more in a blog style. We want to tell the story of that listing. We're going to give you the 5 reasons this house is the best choice for that neighborhood. Okay, and then we're going to drive traffic through Facebook and Instagram and Google AdWords to that listing, and then every stage of that listing is going to be retargeted. Okay, so we start with coming soon. then we do the just listed. When it goes under contract, it's under contract, and then we do just sold. Okay.
Right.
And then we'll have that audience coming back. So then the next listing that we have coming up in Barton Hills, we're going to put coming soon, and then it retargets to all the people that looked at the other listing before. Okay.
Right.
This is next level advertising. I got to tell you, I don't know anybody that's doing this. Yes, there are what they call dynamic Facebook ads for listings, but not on this level. This is a more personalized level. So,
may I add a comment about social media?
Yeah.
So one thing that I think gets overlooked with social media from both the agent side and the client side is people think like, oh, well, nobody buys real estate off of social media. Well, they don't, but it's a way to get attention. And one of the best things about it is that it's not all real estate. So if your home is on Zillow, which it should be, your home's on Zillow or Realtor.com, all those other sites, it's among a whole bunch of other homes, and it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle. But if you're advertising on social media, then it's mixed in with all kinds of other stuff, you know, cute pictures of people's dogs and whatever. So it stands out because it's not just real estate, number one. So it's a way to stand out. And number two, there's a way in which people feel safer engaging on social media than they do on real estate websites. Because everybody knows exactly what's going to happen when you put in an inquiry on Zillow. You're going to get bombarded with agents. But you can like something on Facebook or share it with your friend or whatever, and it's a little bit of a safer environment to engage with real estate listings. Yeah,
and I would tell you, Isabel, that homes do get sold on social media, like not all the time, but that home on Zillow never hit the market. And the reason it didn't hit the market was because we were selling it so much higher than any home had ever sold in any resale home in Barton Hills. And it's $1.6 million, more than that actually. So, you know, what we did to drive traffic to that was we did the Facebook ads, and then we did email blasts to everyone. I think we have like 2,000 registrations of people that have register for homes in 78704, right? And what happens is, are 2,000 of these people buyers? No, probably not even 100 of them are buyers, but they're voyeurs, and they're people that are interested in the area, and they forward that to their friends, and their friends forwarded that to the agent. Okay. So what happened in that case is the agent came to me on day one. They wrote an offer that was below list price, and they said, hey, here's a good offer. It's based on the comps. We want an answer tonight. And the answer was no. Like, we have a big open house this weekend. We will consider offers that are full price or higher. Okay. And if you want to consider an offer that's below full price, wait till Monday. Maybe it'll be available. Well, that excited them to increase the offer. Let's talk about open houses for a minute, Isabel. How do you, and by the way, I know, like, just so you guys know, Isabel has a ton of good listings coming up in 78704 that are luxury listings. These houses are beautiful. By the way, I think it was Alameda was like 1.3 or 1.5. Is that the right street?
No, we don't have anything on Alameda. I'm trying to think which one. We have something on Second.
This was one that sold. I was looking at comps and Travis Heights for a client. Anyway, the days on market.
Ask Chris. Days. I lose track of all of the houses that he's building and has built. That's my husband who, one of the reasons I have so many great listings coming up.
Yeah, well, what I noticed is when I was pulling comps for a client, that one came up, and it was like 3 days on market, right? So this is why you're on this broadcast, because you know what you're doing. So talk about open houses and how you drive traffic there and what you do with that.
Sure. So open houses, I love. I think they're very valuable. I've gotten a lot of clients from open houses, and I have sold houses from open houses. That surprises people because people say nobody ever buys it from the open house. That's not true. I've had it happen before. There's a couple things with open houses that are important. Some of the stuff, like when it comes to real estate marketing, is so basic that, like, there's a ton of stuff that we can get fancy about, but there's some stuff that you just have to do the basics. And one thing is, like, make sure that your open house is published online. You know, I've talked to sellers who are not having their house won't sell, and they're asking me for advice about why it's not sold yet. And it's like they've had one open house and it wasn't on Zillow or the MLS.
Yeah,
they just put signs in the neighborhood. I mean, there are people who come in from the signs, and while we're talking about signs, put out a lot of them. I think you need 15 or 20 open house signs. Yeah, and they probably should go out at least a day beforehand.
Yeah, and we have these big ones here, you know.
Right. I mean, people only come if they know about it. And if it's not online and you don't have signage, then they're not going to know about it. So in terms of, you know, making sure it's published online early enough in advance that it will syndicate to Zillow and everything else so people can see it. Number 2 is making sure you have enough signage. And number 3, I'm actually interested in your opinion about this, Ryan. This is something that I learned along the way, and I'm wondering if you agree. Holding shorter open houses is better. So okay, good. So in my experience, if you hold an open house that's an hour or an hour and a half long, maybe 2, that's enough urgency for people to commit to a time that they're going to show up. If you have a 5-hour open house, then people are way more likely to go, oh, it's all day. Like, we'll go to brunch and then we'll go after. Guess what? They're not showing up. So you make the time window smaller for multiple reasons, so that people commit to showing up on time, and so that when people do show up, the house is full of people. You don't want an open house where there's nobody there.
Right. And so we typically do a 2-hour open house, but like when we're listing a home and I have, you know, I try to tell my sellers, always be busy, right? Like if you can go out of town, even better, right? So I want to talk a little bit about multiple offers for a second, because this is a big part of our
multiple offers. Okay? It's my favorite.
And just one little comment about signs. Before the home is listed, we get branded coming soon signs that say coming soon, not on MLS, because that's a big word. People are looking. We have an inventory problem here in Austin, and people are looking for stuff that is not readily available to the public. So we have those signs that drive traffic, directional signs. So we put, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 of them leading from the big intersections to the home. And then once it's listed, we change those out with home for sale. Okay. So multiple offers. So, you know, we talked about a little bit about this yesterday, but I want to go through what I consider to be the perfect scenario that is going to create the variables that lead to a multiple offer situation. This does not mean that this is going to happen every single time, but even if it doesn't happen, it creates a better drive so that you can gauge what happened on that first weekend, right? We talked about a bottleneck, okay? We have the bottleneck of interest coming in because we put a lot of time, energy, and money into marketing the home, okay? We always list on a Thursday afternoon. The reason we list on Thursday instead of Friday is because the default search is set up for if an agent does not change it. In other words, if I'm setting you up on a search and I don't change it from the default time to ASAP, then you won't get that listing till the next day. We know agents are lazy. So if I were to list it on a Friday, the lazy agents that are out there, their clients won't get notified about it until Saturday at 5 a.m. So we list on a Thursday. I don't even care if the seller allows showings on Thursday. We can just not even show it on Thursday. We don't list on a Monday because the likelihood of getting multiple buyers, which leads to multiple offers, is much lower on a Monday than a Thursday, okay? Get my clients to be busy, go out of town, do whatever they're doing. If I happen to get an offer on Friday, which we want, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stall that for as long as possible. When I say as long as possible, if it's a great offer and it's really, really good and it has all the terms that we need, then, you know, we might take it, right? But most of the time when you have a solo offer, it's not good, okay? I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't have the perfect terms. So what we do is we tell the buyer's agent, thank you for your offer. We will consider it. We're having an open house tomorrow and my clients are really busy. So stay tuned. Okay. Then in the meantime, if I can get 2 offers on that listing, All right. That puts us in a position to negotiate the best for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
We
Absolutely.
go back to both offers. We say multiple offers, highest and best due by either Sunday at 4 or Monday at 10. And please, here are a list of preferred terms that my seller wants to see when you submit your highest and best. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your experience with multiple offers. I know you've worked with a few of these, and any stories you want to share or techniques?
Yeah, I love multiple offers, and I try to make them happen as often as I can for my sellers. I've been on a lot of multiple offer negotiations on both sides for both buyers and sellers. And a couple of things that I have seen other agents do that always surprise me. Number one, I've heard other agents on the listing side, like when I'm representing buyers, tell me that they don't like multiple offers and that they will not be engaging in multiple offer situations. I'm like, it's not really up to you. It's kind of up to the market and the buyers who submit offers to you. But they'll tell me things like, yeah, we're not going to call for a best and final because that just stresses everyone out too much. And I'm like, okay, great. That's fine for my buyers. But if it was my seller, I would be calling for a best and final.
I've heard that
crazy.
Too, and you're right.
Isn't that insane? It's crazy to me. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if the seller knows that their agent is completely undercutting their negotiation power right now. So anyway, I'm always trying to, first of all, make the conditions happen that make multiple offers likely, like having great photos, like building a bottleneck of interest, like having coming soon, like making sure that the first weekend is really powerful. You know, all of those things can create conditions, like you said, where it becomes more likely that we'll get them. Yeah. The second thing is I want to be ready for them if we do get them. Right. So I want to prepare my sellers mentally for that process to happen and also make sure that I have put together clear instructions about what kinds of offers we want to see. So just like you said, sending out suggestions for the buyer's agents about what you want to see in the offer. My assistant Emma and I put together like a suggested offer terms that we put into the MLS that says, here's what we want to see in the offer, because it's also amazing how many buyer's agents submit sloppy offers that don't have all the stuff filled out, or they have things in them that are just inaccurate. And at that point, you know, I'm often telling my sellers, even if this is the highest offer, it's not a clean offer. So we might not want to take this one because they can back out because they have, they've put something in here that allows them to get out of the contract. So, you know, there's really three things that go into it. One is creating the conditions that make it possible. Two is being ready for it to happen and giving clear instructions to people. And then number three is managing the stress of everybody involved. Like I found that one of my biggest jobs as an agent is to keep my clients calm during the process and also help them not get too greedy, because that can certainly happen. And the second thing is keep the buyers and the buyer's agents calm by communicating clearly about what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, when we're picking an offer, and try to keep everybody happy that way so that people don't start flipping out. Yeah,
you got to let the agents know that you're in control, right? I mean, you're driving the bus when you're listing, when you're the listing agent. And if you want to get on the bus, you got to adhere to the rules. So Jason Jacques says, I read a Zillow study that said houses that hit on Saturday get 20% more views. I've been doing that lately and it seems to work well. Not that I care about Zillow, but I figured that maybe universal across platforms. That's not my experience, Jason. I got to tell you.
Is the Austin market, or do you know where Jason's located?
No, he's a friend of mine from Curator, but that's not my experience in Austin, and no offense, but I kind of question anything that Zillow says. I think they're a good advertising portal, but they put out a lot of misinformation. So, and then, you know, I think the last thing that I wanted to cover is the transaction process. And we talked about putting these terms out for multiple offers. This is going to make your transaction much better. What's that?
What about, we don't have to talk about this now, but I just want to throw it out there, pre-inspections.
Yeah, we've done those in the past. We kind of got away from them when the market started getting hotter, but now as it's starting to cool off a little bit, it's getting a little bit slower. But I want to talk about the appraisal contingency, right? Because that's a big deal. In our list of terms that we want to ask for when we're listing a home, if the home is going way above list price for contract price, then we want to ensure that we're going to have a smooth process during the appraisal. So one of the things we'll say is that if you are not paying cash, let me explain this. I always want to get in layman's terms here, guys. Okay. So what happens if you're a seller and you list your home, let's say 400, okay, and you get 10 offers, okay, it happens, believe me. And one of those offers is 420,000. One of them is 410,000. Okay, we're going to put a notice to the buyer's agent that if you're not paying cash and you have submitted an offer that is above list price, please submit an addendum that tells us how much over your buyer is willing to cover the difference between appraisal price and contract price. Because people may not know this, but if you are submitting an offer for 420,000 and the bank's only going to give you 400 and you're approved with that down payment and you don't have any extra money, then you're going to have to come up with that extra money, or 4 things are going to happen, right? When the appraisal comes out shorter, there are 4 things that are going to happen. 1, the buyer's going to bring in the money. 2, the seller's going to drop the price. 3, they're going to meet in the middle. Or 4, they're going to terminate the contract. So we want to prevent this from happening. And the way we do that is we tell them up front. Look, I had one time that I think this is like 6 years ago, and it was like 165,000. We got 10 offers on this place. The highest offer was 200,000. We didn't take it, okay? Because there was no way this property was going to appraise for 200,000. We ended up taking one. I think it was 178 was the next highest offer, but they agreed to fill in the gap, right? And what's so important about what we're talking about with this marketing here is you can't do that unless you negotiate that up front. And the only way you're going to be able to negotiate the right terms is through marketing, right? And that's what we're talking about here. Yeah. Right.
Because if you don't have a bottleneck of interested people, then what leverage are you using as a seller to ask for what you want? I mean, if you've been on the market for 4 months and you've got somebody coming in with a low offer and you've got nobody else interested, it's kind of hard to be like, well, we don't have to negotiate off asking price and we want you to cover any appraisal difference. It's like, what leverage do you have? The buyer's going to be like, you've been on the market for 4 months. Nobody else is buying this house. You just end up.
And this is really important of why you want to choose your agent that actually does these things, that, not only has the tricks and techniques and the marketing advice to market your property, but it subsequently uses that to the advantage, not just in price, but in negotiating the terms. So we're running out of time.
Instead of just picking the agent who tells you the highest unreasonable price and tells you that they'll charge a discounted commission, that's not a good way to make all your money. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and surprisingly enough,
surprisingly, you get what you pay for. It's amazing.
Yeah. So this has been a great topic. We went a little bit longer because I think it's so important. And Isabel, it's so good to have you on board with Spyglass Realty. You're a real asset to our team. Where can people find you, Isabel?
So I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, my personal profile is probably the best place to find me, Isabel Tinker Athenito. And I said on Facebook, right? And then on Instagram, Funky Homes of Austin is my Instagram handle, and that's a good place to find me. So at Funky Homes of Austin.
Yeah, and Isabel's putting out some great content on both of those platforms. So we're going to wrap it up. Don't forget to like this video if you're watching on Facebook. If you found this helpful, be sure to comment home in the comments below. That's subscribe to future broadcasts. If you're catching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel as always. And if you have any topics you want to discuss, let us know. Isabel, thank you so much, and looking forward to doing some deals with you in the office here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Take care. Bye-bye.